Check 1 2. Check 1 2. We'll make sure y'all can hear me tonight. Can y'all hear me tonight? My eyes a little red. Just got out the shower. We got some slow music going on tonight. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Slow music going on tonight. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Kimothy Kush. Oh, yeah, we got Sister Uma York in the building tonight. But as y'all come in the door, I want y'all to hit that thumbs up. We had to calm it down from last night. We gave a nice, beautiful show last night. Yeah, it was a nice sloppy poop show. You know the language that people like to use. It was very nice. And it did what we had inspired it to do. We got about 5 minutes before we start the show. It did what we inspired it to do. The show last night, I want to, if I can, let me tell you something. Sometimes, family, I want y'all to understand the science of an Adap. For those who are not members of the Moorish Science Temple of America, not familiar with an Adap is one who is very skilled, and I will say in various fields. He says that is very skilled. And so the show last night that was about Darren. Let me explain something to you. Commission is no Adap. He's a fool. The show about Darren last night was a trigger show. If anybody would like to learn how to build a YouTube channel from scratch, I'm going to be showing you free soon. It was a trigger show. And what a trigger show is, you will do things that will trigger people. And when you trigger them, they will say your name and they will put you in the algorithms so you can advance your channel to another level. So when I planned the show, I told my team, I said, this is going to be a setup show. And we're going to set this show up to allow people to get rubbed the wrong way so they can ultimately say my name, say my name, say my name. I actually can show you the text with my team. It was a setup show. And so amazingly, it went so well that I have 3 flunky channels that are saying my name. And the beautiful thing about it is this. 1, 2, and 3 pulled my record. Now listen to this now. From 30 years ago. Where in fact somebody told on me. But here is the caveat. Me and my brother Ben X, shout out to Ben X, I'll drop it now. Me and my brother Ben X will be starting the documentary about my life real soon. Real soon. I've participated in the documentary about his. So here's the caveat. There's a lot of research that goes on and a lot of collecting things in order to put in a documentary. Well, when I rub people the wrong way, they do the research for me. So now I got the criminal record, the police reports that I didn't have to go and get myself. I didn't have to go to one Baltimore Police Department. I didn't have to go to one Anne Arundel County Police Department. And I just screenshot it, file it in a folder, and get ready to get the rest of the things for the documentary about my life. So family, if you was annoyed with last night's show, don't be. Two things happened. I've got my name and titles of people videos. I got research that is going to be a phenomenal documentary that should be out next spring. My life is a serious journey. You definitely would love to show this to your children if they went down the wrong path or even considering it. But the wisdom that come out of it is that much more serious. Is that much more serious. So with that being said, family, if you ever see me do a show and you think that I'm baiting somebody or somebody baited me and I chose to respond, I never bait anybody, only if it benefits this channel and benefits you. Before we bring the sisters in, before we bring our sister Uma York in, if you're a Christian, right? Or if you're not a Christian, if you don't believe in Jesus, or if you do believe in Jesus, shout out to Cryptonomics, he's in the building. I was just explaining to them that if I owe somebody an apology for the poop show last night, I want them to know that it was designed for people to be triggered so they can ultimately say my name. And once they say my name, we will be in the algorithms as well as other things that will follow. But one of the things that follow is Cryptonomics is I just let everybody know that me and Brother Ben will be starting to work on a documentary about my life. And in doing a documentary about my life, we have to research and get all court records. We have to get all filings. We have to get everything. And I notice when I trigger certain people, they will go to all the places that I need to go. And so I was able to screenshot my court record of a charge of 30 years ago where somebody actually snitched on me, right? And but that's water's under the bridge. But now I got the file. That's one thing off my list. And so what I'm telling the Morse World TV citizens, that if we do a show, this is where I was at, if we do a show and you think that I'm baiting somebody or somebody baiting me and I respond, I only respond if it benefits the channel and benefit us, the Morse World TV citizens. Then I was getting to the part where if you are a Christian or if you're not, understand the wisdom of the story of Jesus. Jesus gave his life as a willing sacrifice, which means that he put it all on the line in order to wake up the people that wanted to be awake. Whether people believe in Jesus or not, believe in the wisdom that in order for us to become awoke, somebody is going to have to put themselves on the line and step out front. Somebody is going to have to take the hits. I've been called a snitch. I've been called a child abuser. I've been called whatever. What else have I been called? A sexual a predator or something like that. My mother been attacked. Oh, do you understand what I'm saying? So in order to get this message to you, I understand social media. I'm willing to put myself on the line, let people talk, ridicule, and all that. It doesn't matter to me. I don't have no ego. My ego gone long ago. Ultimately, we're going to get this into the algorithms and we're going to wake people up. And so tonight we have our sister Uma York. And I always want to bring our sister Uma back as much as possible because to me, I don't know about anybody else, but to me, she is a walking icon. She's a walking icon of our women's strength. You follow me? She is a walking icon of resilience. And I seen a poem that she had wrote on her Facebook page. I'll show it a little later. And I was like, there it is. And basically she was just talking about her experience with her fathers. You follow me? With her father, I mean to say. Brother Malachi York. Now, whether you like him or not, I'm going to get started in a minute. Work with me. Whether you like Dr. York or not, whether you formed an opinion about Dr. York or not, Dr. Malachi York is one of the first people that I know that literally carved out a piece of land and began to write his own history with those who work beside him. Now we can get into all of the things that has been said have happened, all the things that he's been convicted of, and all of the things that people like to talk about Dr. York. But there is not one person that actually took a piece of land and began to build it from scratch. Not in our lifetime. Not one. All of these groups and all of these organizations, not one. Not since the time of the prophet, not since the time of Black Wall Street. The nation haven't did it. The Moors haven't did it. The Christian church haven't did it. No one. You don't have to like Dr. York, but at least be inspired of the idea that we need our own space, that we need to teach our own children, that we need to make sure that we manage our own finances. Now we can get into all of the things that he was accused of. We can get into that. That's another story. But one of the things that is very essential for any people, whether you are European descent, African descent, indigenous descent, one thing that is very essential is self-government. And what I'm saying is not to overthrow anything. No, managing yourself. That's what it's all about. Again, we can get into what he was convicted of. That's another conversation. It's a saying in the Moorish Science Temple of America. It's a saying in the Moorish Science Temple of America that the wise will find the means of good from the worst. So from the worst, the wise will find means of good. See, it shows where your state of mind at if you are only looking at something that is bad, corrupt, decrepit, and something that destroyed. But deep in there, there's some wisdom in there, and it could take you to the next level. And so it's the same thing where I see with these YouTubers and these people that like to dox and people that like to talk about family, people like to talk about things happened 30 years ago. I use that. Out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. I could do a show tomorrow and trigger somebody and have 5 weak channels talk about me and put me in the algorithms, and then I can do a show on teaching where it's hard to hold our people attention with teaching, but they will come to the channel because it be in the algorithms. You see what I'm saying? So the point that I'm making, the wise will find means of good, and I find means of good out of everything. Even the most vile person on YouTube, I find a way to use it for my benefit and to get to you. And so with that being said, that's enough of me talking. We're gonna bring our sister in here in a minute. But before we bring her in, I got to hear. I'm learning this song because I just wrote it and I put it together. But I got to let it rock. I got to let it rock. So y'all got to work with me. All right? Y'all got to work with me. Shout out to May, Crip, Sean, M. Nugent, Candy, MJ Givens. And shout out to New Wop.
And look good now, don't it? Check, with a vengeance. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Check 1, 2. Let's own it. Put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Man, I love this. Y'all ready?
Check 1, 2. Check 1, 2.
I'm ready.
Check 1, 2.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm ready. Let's go.
Check it. We gonna get this right. One take.
I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it?
Get your own Corona, you
be
can
a
be
god
the
that's on it. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Corona, you can be a god that's on it. I used to rock with these temples and the moves the long way, but they all are super fraud and they not getting the way they want me to keep it quiet. Who I tell it to their face? I'm flipping over tables on my way to the 8th. The Hawker Bay said it, now it's time for me to prove it. Got the same address and I ain't playing on moving. The internet got these dope fiends acting around with Dirty Frankie and some mess that he know he can't handle. When I pull up and I pull out on 1, 2, 5. Don't be telling me you 60 when I let that thing rip. Overhand or both fist. Put your veneers on the curb. Put your chin on the back of your neck. And that's my word. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Corona, you can be a god, let's own it. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Corona, you can be a god, let's own it. Let me ask you, who doing it like Hawker Bay?
Nobody.
Who the people's grand sheep?
I am.
Huh? Show me a more doing it like Hawker Bay.
Ain't nothing.
And I shut my mouth. Let's go. I can't wait to see Boy Bay and sit him on his back pockets for the simple fact he disrespect the prophet when he speak. He embarrassing. He ain't a Moorish American. The camera and carrot chip, so I will embarrass him. After that, I dip and take a trip to Carbondale. Nah, it ain't the hood, but oh well. I'm coming with all the shells. Find Yuck Bay, dozing off the Zola. Civilize the savage, so she can hate no more. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Corona.
Yeah, that's how we do.
Put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Corona, you can be
Let's
a god,
go.
we own it. You come up against me, you know
you're
you
gonna
gon'
lose.
lose. Pepper gold teeth, floss it all for some views. Grown man wearing rabbit ears, acting
Acting
like a
like a
wild
wild
coon. Had a
coon.
whole squad looking like a buffoon. I'm the man, just admit it. You
wanna do it how I did it, forget it. It's my time now for riddance.
Oh yeah, Neil Bay, you late with the court date. Don't make the Moorish world citizens wait.
Ah.
Put the feds back in the hood and it
Yeah.
look good, don't it? Get your own Quran, you can be a god, we own it. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Quran, you can be a god, we own it. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Get your own Quran, you can be a god, we own it. I put the feds back in the hood and it look good now, don't it? Now get your own Quran, you can be a god, we own it.
Welcome to another edition of Moorish World TV. I am your esteemed host, Brother Hawker Bay, and that's what we do. That's what we do, family. With that being said, family, we put the fans back in the hood, but we bring the sister to the hood. I hope I'm not too loud, but family, listen. Tell me if I'm sounding Tell me if I'm sounding a little cracky. Let me know so I can fix it up. We got our, like I said, man, we got our sister here, family. And I'm going to tell you, we will have no disrespect because I know that she the one of the most loved and one of the most hated. Just like her father, one of the most loved and one of the most hated. But we ain't going to have no hate up in here tonight because I'm telling you, family, when you begin to hate, you miss the message. You really miss the message. You know, you don't have to like somebody. Like many people might not like me, but there's some good messages that can help you out along your way in your journey. So sis, I'm so glad to happy to have you back. Let me ask you first, how's your king doing? How my brother?
He's doing fine. He's doing fine. He's, as usual, running back and forth, working and eating and doing what he's doing. You know, he's here.
Well, I want you to let him know that we need to get him on the show to give us some skills that I know he do for a living. Bring some of that architecture skills up here. How can the young generation get into that? How can we walk down that path? And I want to bring him on the show for some stuff like that.
Okay, well, I know he has a youth development program. He had a youth development program for years, actually teaching young kids architect. He's also worked in Georgia Tech, also teaching the youth about architect and stuff like that, making sure that they have a high success rate in regards to graduating and stuff like that. So he's gonna reopen up that once again. He's just been more focusing on having his own personal business, as he's saying, he doesn't want to work for anybody. So, you know, he's been focusing on that, and that's been doing pretty good right now. So, you know, yeah, he's
well, I'll tell you what, my thing is when he opened that, I'm coming straight down there with the Morse World TV vehicle, and we go document that. And now, with that being said, sis, since we were last here, how have you been? The last time we were here, I think we was talking about when you went to Africa, and the time before that, we was talking about the polite situation. This time, we'll be talking about your father. How have you been since the times that you were here on Morse World TV?
I'm doing good, you know, just, you know, living life, you know, doing what I can do.
You be living life real good though. because I mean, I'm not a troll enough. But you know, you're my friend on Facebook, and you're my your friend on IG, and you be doing your thing. So you be doing your thing, and the thing is that I want to read this poem because I see you doing your thing, right? And then I read this poem, and I'm like, this is a story that we have to tell. How do you be the daughter of one of the most hated and one of the most celebrated, one of the most criticized, and you as well have been criticized, but you still walk with a smile. You still are producing amazing work with your fashion, et cetera, et cetera. How do you do it?
You appreciate that, definitely. So you're saying, how do I do it? I mean,
how do you do it? How do you remain so regal? How do you remain so regal?
I've been through a lot. I can honestly say, to the point where I am now, it was definitely some stepping stones to get to where I'm at. You know, I mean, I went through the stages where, you know, I've had my dark days, you know, and I've learned to climb myself out of those dark shadows, you know, alone and even, you know, some with the help of, you know, my husband now. You know, I've had to climb out of these shadows. Now, when I say shadows, I mean, I'm talking about you get reminders all the time of the things that, you know, that bother you. You get reminders. It's like slap in the face. Oh man, May 8th is around the corner. Oh man, Father's Day is around the corner, or even Mother's Day. All of these different, you know, things where you see other people interacting with their family and stuff like that. It just is, all of that is a reminder of what I could have had, but I don't have, you know?
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, you good, sis. You good, sis. Come on.
I'm just trying to grab my water. By me saying that, you know, I've had to, I say for myself, I say, I had to build a certain strength. You know what I'm saying? I had to build a certain strength, to keep myself grounded. You know, I had to say to myself, you know, because of who my father is, and I realized that my life is kind of, not really a choice of mine, you know, when it comes down to people in his organization and the way, you know, I feel some of them are very intrusive in our lives. You know, I had to learn to build a backbone. And to me, I feel like, I wouldn't be his child if I didn't have a backbone, because, you're going to go through the ups and downs no matter what, when you have a father that consider himself a leader to the Black community, or, consider himself a master teacher, you're going to go through ups and downs, because no matter what, like you said, there's going to be people that love you and there's going to be people that hate you. I've had people that hate me just because of who my father is. I've gotten called that pedophile's daughter. It's a lot of hate that comes with it. You know what I'm saying? People get mad at me for him just being my father, and I'm like, why do I get the hate for that? But I had to learn to swallow it. I had to learn to deal with this type of stuff.
Have you ever thought about, have you ever not called yourself Uma York or carry the name York?
Actually, I've hid myself, yes, from my real life. Yes, I definitely hid myself from my real life. As a matter of fact, my brother, when he was on here last, Jacob, when he was on here last, he even spoke about it. Like, as a matter of fact, I think it was Cyanetta TV. He spoke about, oh yeah, she does this for a living.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna mention it because I've never hid it ever. I just wish he knew that I never hid it. But I lived a certain lifestyle, a different lifestyle where people call me Egyptian royalty, and they don't really know the attachment to it, or I've kept the attachment separate, and I've been a dominatrix for 16 years, flat, a professional dominatrix, and I felt like that was an outlet for me. It was a mental outlet for me where, I would have people worshiping me and calling me goddess and, certain things. So it kind of filled in the empty void of being raised a certain way, saying, oh, you're this princess and you're this and you're going to be that, it's like, when you see that getting snatched away from you, you have to fill in that empty void some way. So I kind of used it as an outlet, to keep myself grounded and stable, so.
And
yeah.
when you decided to say, you know what, I'm going to carry this York name regardless, what was that like? And we're going to go back and forth. That's how I do my interviews. I jump back and forth. What was that like to say, you know what, today I'm Uma York and it is what it is?
So yeah, when people started finding out, who I was, doing domination, being a dominatrix, when people started finding out, like, wait a minute, you represent your brand as, this empress or this princess, where are these pyramids? Like, oh my God, you always have these pyramids. They were like, that's not, I've looked in Kemet, that's not, these pyramids are not in Kemet. I've always showed where I lived and where I came from, because that kind of helped my brand a lot more, because these Europeans were like, wow, look at her, she's of royalty, of royal bloodline,
Right.
So it was like, wow, I want to bow down at your feet, so I always use that as my platform. But now, conversations that I've had with a lot of them, because I definitely I sit down and I talk to some of them, and and the conversation I had, it would be like, yeah, you should just ignore that whole lifestyle, and you should walk around with blonde hair, and you should do this. It was like as if they were like trying to reprogram me to be, the image and likeness of what I was taught, the image and likeness of the beast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So because I was definitely always underneath learning my father's scriptures and learning some of his books and stuff like that, it kind of I always jumped the fence back and forth, and the reason why is because it took care of me financially when I didn't have any backings or anything like that. I didn't have any support from any family members or any communities or anything like that. I literally had to get it out the mud myself, so it was kind of like a financial stability, but then it also worked on my personal self. I was like, I know for a fact that this is not good, because, I should be somebody that a young Black girl should look up to. You get what I'm saying? And I want to teach them how to respect themselves and be you know, a certain way. Just so I said to myself, you know what? I don't give a damn about how y'all feel about my family. I don't give a damn how you feel about my father. That's just me. Guess what?
Right.
That's where I come from. This is my bloodline. This is where I come from, and I had to learn to accept it. There were definitely times where, shoot, you'll meet people and they'll be like, her name is such and so and so. You know, I've also been in foster care, so because I've also been in foster care, they literally just changed my name and gave me a whole identity as well. And I've lived under that identity for a little bit as well until I was like, yeah, no, I'm not gonna do that. You know.
Right.
So I have people in different places calling me different names, you know.
Yeah,
So
I want to just cut in real quick, and like to your point, your brother Jacob York, when he was on here, he did say that you was a dominatrix. But the thing is the funny part about it is what he didn't know is that you had already said that to me, and I was like, that's a weak low blow, like because we had talked before, we had talked like maybe weeks or 2, even 3 weeks before we even did our first show, and you know what I'm saying, we wanted to be sure that you know what I mean, wanted to do the show. But anyway,
yeah,
so when he said that, I was like, man, this is a weak specimen of a man, because he thought that you were trying to hide something. You
no,
know, that's what
I've
he
never
thought.
hid the fact that I specifically beat on only white men and any Caucasians that ask to be beaten. I teach them about our culture and how they should worship us as Nubian people. And this is something that I will be continuing moving forward. And I feel like if I have to teach it to any other Nubian girl so that she could learn to embrace herself, then I will. I don't have no shame in what I do. I do not when the way they try to make it seem, oh, like she does this for sexual purpose. Nope, not at all. I have a whole different perspective on how I do it. So yes, when they say something, yes, I'm spanking white folks and taking names by any means necessary.
It's just, do you still beat him?
Yeah, I still beat them. Yes, I do. Yes, I
Today
do.
you beat,
Yeah,
you don't beat him today, sis. Not today.
I've had friends that say, yo,
I'm just
can you
playing.
beat
I'm
them
just
for
playing.
me?
I'm just playing. So what I wanted to do, sis, I wanted to share this. I wanted to share this real quick. If you indulge me, everybody. I wanted to share this with everybody real quick. Because this caught my attention, came up my timeline on Facebook, and it says just a little poem of me expressing my thoughts of my father being locked up. And it says, would you like to read it, sis?
You can help yourself. I was just
And it said, no, this is amazing though, family. And I want y'all to really get into the energy of the thought when this was scribed, because it took me there. I feel words, so hopefully you do too. It says, hey, Pops, but oh yeah, it's master teacher to them. You chose them over your blood, my friend. Now it's 20 years in. You're doing some bids. Sad to say, they got you locked in. I hope you know you lost the love of your kins, who was by blood birth really your friends, who would have fought for you, till we had a win. Now they might keep you till the end. I think now let me blow this up a little bit, because y'all gonna talk, but I read like a kindergarten. Oh, there we go. There we go. They took your love and laughed at our struggle again and again. Laughed at our struggle again and again. I never thought it would be like this with all your strength. But hell, you chose them over your kins. I hope you still have all the strength within. It looks like you'll need it till the end. We didn't just lose a father, but we lost a friend. By Uma York. Now, what that says to me is that your father quite possibly, oh, my apologies. Your father quite possibly put his followers or the movement, whatever people choose to call it, before people like yourself and the rest of your family. And basically, he has to live with that. So that's what I'm getting from that. What were you thinking when you wrote that? And I got some other stuff to go with that.
You know, it's a constant reminder to me, you know, all the time about like I said, every time there's holidays and every time, you know, you see people doing family things, you know, he had a mission and he had a purpose, and his purpose was to save our people, you know, and he literally put us to the side. I mean, it was times where I had to fight for attention,
It's
like moving people out the way, like move, and you know,
well, was that
like,
when you were on
yeah,
the
I was that
land?
child. They'll tell you that she,
You-
yes, when I was on the land. Oh yeah, because being on the land, I mean, you got, when he's in his house and you got these women just hottering over the screen, like literally just plastered to the screen, you know, and you being his child, you just want to see him, but you already know that even when you're sitting there to talk to him, there's about 15 other women just right there, and you can't even really express how you feel. So it'll be conversations that I have to talk to him, like private father daughter stuff, and I'd be like, you know, da da da, and there's still somebody right there. And it got to the point where and I think this is why I'm so expressive nowadays, where I'm just like, I done got so used to there being an audience of people in our lives, you know. So, you know, I've never really had a lot of private time unless, you know, it was a conversation that dealt with family. The only private time that I've had with my father was when nobody wanted to tell him that our brother was assassinated, and I had to be the one to tell him that. That was the only time that we had like privacy without there being somebody else there somewhere, because there were always women around, always, always, always. There was
Was
no way.
so with your other brothers and sisters, did you have to compete with them also, you felt?
No, you know what? When my
Okay.
brother, with a lot of my brothers and sisters, it was times where I would have to fight for them to get attention. That I would be like, this one needs attention. You know, if we're going out, can this one come with us too? Can this one, you know, it was always fighting for them, because these people, when I mean, I'm sorry, you know, to say these people, but you know, the people that were there, that were right there, they didn't have no cares in the world about family values, about him seeing his children, or his children, you know, spending time with their father. You know, I became a problem to them when they seen that I would push so hard to spend time with my father. I became a problem to these people. They were like, she's getting in our way. You get what I'm saying? That was a problem to
Well,
them.
you know, I think at that time, many people looked at Dr. York not only as the master teacher, but also looked at him as similar to a prophet, or even as a prophet. Like he was the
Yeah.
end all be all at that time. I mean, even to some of my friends now, you know, the admiration. And I say my friends, absolutely. I have friends right now that was on the land, you know, that one time they'll make it on the show, but that has great admiration, and the esteem that they show is like this is our Jesus here. You know, did you feel that type of energy?
Yeah,
Like people was relating to him like he's their Jesus?
definitely, definitely. I mean, not just their Jesus, but their father, their everything. Like, you know, he was like everything to these people. I mean, I know for a fact that I can't say, oh yeah, around them, I can't say something like, oh yeah, that's my father, without one of them saying, well, that's my father too. I'm like, well, he for the streets, then everybody might as well claim him. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
sheesh, like, and it's kind of like a disrespect a little bit, because it's like, when do you get to respect the child, his child, who actually just wants to have that personal feeling of that being their father? You know what I mean? And they take away the fact that this man is a person. He's a real life person. He
Yeah.
has feelings. He has children. He has, you know, people besides this whole godlike factor that they put him in. You know what I'm saying? They haven't figured out a way to segregate the two so that they can make him a person, you know. And that had a cause and effect on us as his children, because you know, these people, they worshiped him, you know, they worshiped him. Like,
And let me say, you know, I see my brother, I can't say a Pa Musbatyu. He said he never referred to himself as a prophet or Jesus. That is
he
not what
never
I
did.
said.
No,
I
they gave
said,
him that position.
yeah, I said, did they see him as that? So
Mm-hmm.
I don't want anybody to think that I put those words in anybody's mouth. I said, did they see him like that? That means that they
Yes.
treated him as one would treat a prophet or would treat as
Yes.
we know Jesus. That's what I was
Oh
saying.
yes. But that's the thing. He never ever said he was Jesus. He never said he was, something of that light. His followers put him in that, in that light. They're the ones that made this image of him. You know what I mean? They're the
Right.
ones that did it. He never, if anybody that knew him personally would say that man is a humble person. He loves to laugh, just like any regular person. He likes to enjoy life, you know. And the way that they put him on this pedestal, like, he doesn't he doesn't do normal human things, is just it's ridiculous,
So in your life, right?
Mhm.
When you found out, like, hold up, he was accused of some crimes that probably wouldn't go down well with our community. Some of the crimes that I don't really like to go over it like that. When you uh understood that what he was accused of and all that, how did that affect your life? I know you had it, because I want to go back to the land too, how your experience there affects your life and your experience
Mhm.
with your father, how you handle that. But how did that part right there affect you?
It hurt. It hurt. I mean, me not seeing him as that type of person. I didn't see him. I didn't see that in him at all. I seen a loving, father, a man that tried, that reached out, that obviously had a purpose, and his purpose was to help the Black community. So he didn't really have as much time with his kids, so the little bit of time that you had, it was like, it was precious. It was like the best thing ever. I didn't see him as the type of person to be this monster that they made him out to be. So it definitely hurt. And this is like a beginning part of my life where I started to go into a little shell. May I add that, being in the streets, being raised a certain way, and then being thrown in the streets technically, or knowing for a fact now I have no choice but to learn to survive. It kind of puts you in a different mindset. It keeps you. It was just, it's very it's different. It's not something that I would have ever expected. Never. So it kind of hurt a lot. I had to learn to get over it. I've had a lot of my ups and downs, with the situation, confusions myself, like, just in total shock, like, are you serious? Even questioning myself, just questioning, how, where, why, just all of that. I've had all of those go through my head,
Have, have you ever had to, and you don't have to answer if you don't want to, but I think it's give some perspective. Have you ever had to attend any counseling to try to help you work through the disappointment, or the it could build anxiety, or any type of problems that come with dealing with, because that's a heck of a load to carry.
hmm Well, I've been to some therapy before. And the therapy that I've been to, they were looking at me like, what kind of story is this? I don't think they believed my story.
Yes, sis.
They didn't. They were automatically like, this girl's crazy. We'll just write her off. She's crazy, clearly delusional. And, so, trying to explain something to these people, or people that have these, certificates of psychosocials, who clearly knows absolutely nothing. Trying to explain to them my real life, it was a waste of time. Honestly, it
Yeah.
was a waste of time. It was a waste of money, because I always found myself going right back into that dark hole, and, finding myself a way to climb right back out, and yeah, it was a waste of time. They did not, they were like, this Black girl, father's rich, come from this, hundred and something brothers and sisters. You're right. It
Yeah.
sounded like a fairy tale,
So
and I had to realize that to myself, that just talking to the average person, I look like a pathological liar, telling them stuff like I have 100 brothers and sisters, and that my father was a millionaire, and we come from royal bloodline, and we know where we come from. I was like, man, this sounds like a goddamn Disney movie. Like, what the hell? I had to stop, I had to stop carrying a certain
if
image.
if you could paint a picture for us, right? Like when you were younger and you were on the land. I try to show a picture of the land. I think it's the best I can do is this picture here. I think that covers pretty much most of it.
Well, this part's missing.
I think this is the main area, right?
Well,
where people hung out at.
This was the area where people would come to visit. This was
like tourists would visit there, right?
Yeah, this area was for the Black community. This was for the Nubian community. This was for us. Whenever you wanted to come and eat, we had restaurants. This pyramid, the Great Pyramid that you see was multicultural food, all different kinds of African foods and stuff. That was the whole restaurant, different things. Then you had the Mukharraj pyramid, which is the black and gold pyramid, which was considered a spiritual pyramid. A lot of people would come visit, including the Buddhist monks. You know, they would come there and travel and do their spiritual awakening meditations and stuff like that. Then he was also building a little beach. That's what you see all of these chairs over here on the side. He was building like a little beach there. The bridge with all the coral fish would be just memories. The Sphinx. Then you had up the hill. You have there's more pieces to this. The road where the train would go around the land, you know, where people could see the stage. You know, there were different houses. He was going right the process where he was at right now. Well, his last process, because I was the daughter that always pay attention to his blueprints and ask a lot of questions and stuff like that. And that's why he was like, this girl, she clearly wants to learn. You know, his blueprints, which is why he visited Disney World a lot, was because he was using some of the blueprints from Disney World to build us, you know, a nation. He was building the nation for our people so that we all have somewhere to go and be at, just in case anything was to happen in this world. You know, our people will always have somewhere to go to. I mean, when you know, 9/11 happened, I mean, a lot of people flew down, drove down. They didn't know what was happening. They thought the world was about to end. So a lot of these people who were going right there because that was considered their safe haven, you know. And you know, we had fruits and vegetables in the woods. I mean, like I said, I would have my brothers go in the woods and, hey, give me some muscadine grapes, go give me some pecans and stuff like that. And they would bring there was food there, resources, natural resources there. We had our own lake. Right before his incarceration, he just finished purchasing for 625 acres across the lake. He was basically going to put all of that together, which was going to be about 1,000 acres of land for our people. And he only occupied about 5 acres of it. Huh?
Wow.
19. No, I'm talking about not the land. I'm talking about where his house was, like his space, his little space. You know, wow. He didn't occupy that much of it. The rest of it was for the community. Another thing his plan was to do was he was going to put houses. He was building mobile homes on there, and he was going to actually start having families come there to live and have their own homes as well on the property. So that these were his future plans that never, you know, was able to happen.
What was a good day like on the land as a, because I know you were young then, but what was a good day like?
I was a good age.
yeah, but what was a good day? Like, if you could say it was a good day, like if you could like paint us a picture, like this day was a good day.
Probably. Oh, you said what day would like just one day or just like during the week?
Whatever during the week, whatever. Like
I would say the weekends. I would say the weekends was always like, yay, the weekends is here. Our friends are coming that don't live on the land. So, you know, the people that didn't live on the land, they would come on the land and we would be up the hill. All the kids would be up the hill chilling and, you know, doing our own little music thing and doing whatever we want. You know, we had our own little thing. We were all friends, you know, we all know each other and stuff. So it was like we built a relationship with one another, you know. So that was actually a great thing for us, you know, to be able to, you know, be around people that you've grown up with, you know, and that you've known, and even new people, new families coming in and stuff, especially when the new families come in, because we're experiencing them and we're teaching them, and you know, that was always something that we all did. So yeah.
Did it feel like a religious experience, or did it just feel like, hey, we just with family kicking it?
No,
Because
it
you know
felt
what I
like
mean?
it felt like we were with family. Everybody is just hanging out. I mean, now when you're talking about when it's school time, it's school time. That's
Right.
different, you know. And it's not. It wasn't a religious thing. No, we were learning basic curriculum. We had martial arts. We had you know, ballet. Girls had dance classes. We had military training and stuff like that. So we were living, to us, I guess, the norm, you know, that to us, that was the norm, you know. So, you know, learning etiquette classes. I mean, I remember one of the Umahats teaching me how to walk in heels on rocks. Teaching me, yeah, telling me, girl, you got to learn how to walk in heels. You need to learn how to be a certain way, carry yourself a certain way. And you know, and that wasn't even my mother, but it was, you know, my biological mother, but she was still considered to me my mother. Everybody was Umi. I still call people Umi till this day. I still call my friends' moms, you know, Umi, and they be like, this girl, you know, and I'm like, that's just my natural mannerism. You know, you're still an elder and I should respect you as such. You know, no matter what, you're still a mother to my community. You're still a mother to, you know, us as a nation of people, period. You know, so you know, I still carry certain mannerisms when it comes to it, and I appreciate it. You know, I appreciate being raised a certain way, because you know, it makes me look at the world the way it is now. You know, I see
How
what's right and
how
what's wrong.
how was the day in the life put together? Did your father put that together? You know, like, you know, the school time is here, and or was it a group effort thing?
It
Because
was a
this was
group
a
effort.
lot. This is a lot, and I mean, see, and for people who want to try to criticize either you or Dr. York while we have this conversation, family, I'm looking at the great idea that was hatched and what could have became of this idea, um, whether it was infiltrated and whether it was uh, uh, um, uh, uh, the accusations. I'm not even focusing on that. I'm focusing on how this has affected our sister life, how she remains so strong and regal, and we're just looking in the back. So all of the negative stuff. Listen, family, we need a nation of our own that can control itself. That's just what it is. Whether you like Doc or not, this is what we need. And
Hmm.
so we're looking into the day in the life. And so I didn't forgot my question. I'm messing with these
I mean,
people.
I'm a go off of, you know, I'm gonna just ride off of what you said.
Right.
You know, we as a people, we need to wake up. We need to realize that we are being executed by any means necessary, whether we're eating fake foods or whether we're being inbreeded in, or people are breeding with us. You know what I'm saying? So that they can outbreed us. No matter what, we as a people must stay together. We must figure out a way for the future generation of our race, for the future generation of our people. We have to do this by any means necessary. And something I was, you know, this might be a little extreme, I guess, but you know, something I was, you know, taught is that any kingdom that you see, no kingdom was taken without force.
That's right.
So for as long as we sit here and we sit here and pretend like, you know, everything is all gravy, then guess what? The gravy train is going to keep going on and on and on. We're going to see another black kid being killed, and we're going to see another you know, woman being shot down, or you know, we're going to keep continuing to see this unless we all start to, you know, take our place. You know, we have to, and it starts with unity among self. You know, we have to stop this colorism. We have to stop all this self-hate amongst one another. You know, we have to start embracing each other as brothers and sisters. And that will help us to move forward. You know,
I
that's
like the
the
fact
beginning.
I like the fact that you said that you had Buddhists coming there to meditate, et cetera.
Mhm,
And that's another thing that we have to stop. We have to stop thinking that those who don't have the phenotype of indigenous or indigenous Americans or indigenous Africans, that they're not our brothers and sisters or our friends. We have to
mhm,
stop that. And that's that colorism type of thing
mhm.
that we need to get away from. But what I wanted to also ask you is, were you were you there present of mind. Were you there present of mind when it seems like the plot was being hatched to try to take this community or pull the rug from under the community? Were you there? Because I know it probably worked in stages. Let me show you something.
It did.
My brother, Kansu, hooked me up with this here. I'm reading this here. And it's a thick book. I don't have a lot of time to read all the time, but my brother sent it to me, and I'm very grateful for it. And so he was there. It goes into great detail.
I think someone sent me that same book.
Yeah, it's official. It's official. It gives it's very descriptive. But were you there? Were you in your presence and say, wow, they're really trying to take this down?
So I was always like that child that was, like I said, very observant. I would even late at night sit down in a park and just chill on a swing and just watch things happening around. There were a lot of things that were not right that people didn't speak about, that people just swept under the rug. There were women stealing money, because the women had access to the finances. He didn't even have access to his finances. They were the ones doing all of the going to the banks and all of that stuff, so it was a lot of stuff that he didn't have access to himself. My brother just texted me, are you feeling better? But yeah, because somebody called me earlier today and was like, you should watch what you say on that site, like trying to
absolutely.
And the way I felt was like, I cussed them out. I was like, I'm gonna need you people to stop trying to dictate my life. I'm gonna be as honest as I can, because that's just me. I'm not gonna hold back.
Oh, somebody's saying somebody's saying you better watch what you say. Is it? I thought I'm thinking like watch what you say, just so we can have a nice show or something like that. But watch what you say is like threat.
Yeah, I felt like it was kind of like a little bit of a threat. Like, watch what you say. Don't jeopardize the image of the nation or the family, or and I'm like, what family? Like, right. You do realize, like, our family is so segregated to the point where that he was the glue to our family, to the point where he has children just scattered all over the world, and the communication is very slim. Like,
so so when they were seeming to be like, if you would call it closing in, were any of the elders aware that, okay, this looked like it's about to hit, I guess you would have said at that age. They left?
Some people left. Some people knew what was happening. Because it was definitely, like I said, it was a situation that was taken down from the inside. You get what I'm saying? A lot of the people there had a lot to do with the whole takedown of the organization. A lot of people, like I said, they were preparing themselves, stealing money. They were, I remember telling my dad, like, that lady's accent just changed. Like, she just had a whole London accent, and then all of a sudden it just changed. Did you notice that? And he would tell me stuff like, yeah, I did notice that, and he realized that I would notice a lot of things, and I would mention it to him, like, these people are like, informants, or, something not right with some of these people. And he knew that some of those people were there, and they were FBI agents and stuff. My granddad, he worked for the military. My granddad pulled when I asked him to pull some of the information on some of these people. He was pulling information on these people, showing me their discharge papers. People were discharged while they were on the land. So after he got locked up, that's when you were discharged. So you've been there since the 90s, but in the 2000s is when you got discharged. That means you were on a mission the whole time you were there. The whole time you were there. So yeah. And
man, did any of the so I know that on the land most likely there was little clans or little groups that kind of most likely stuck together at some point, or did everybody just scatter? Because it's a sad thing right now. Every time I look at the pictures, I'm like, where like I said, I know a lot of brothers that was a part. But you know, what we see now is the new generation catching on to fragments where they got it really twisted.
Yes.
Yeah, they got it really twisted. But did anybody try to hold anything together?
No. You know, the only thing that I would say that his organization, or people that were truly his followers, and it was very hard to tell who that was, honestly. I think more of his true followers were on the streets than right there in front of our face. You know, I think that the people that truly cared about the unity of our people, those were the people that didn't live there. Those were the people that were not there. Those were the people that were taking this information and giving it to their children and teaching their children the right way of life and stuff like that. Those are the people that were there, that were like right there. And I apologize if I'm offending anybody who was there that actually sacrificed their life for this situation. And you know, I'm sorry if I didn't see, I didn't see y'all try to secure it, because the reality of it is the first thing that happened was my father was taken down, and then after that they segregated the kids and they made sure to keep the kids away. Now, if you are an organization that was supposed to be a certain way, the whole purpose was for the mission of the children, is to save the children. Why would y'all destroy the children? Why would y'all take these children and throw them to the wolves? Why? Y'all had everything y'all needed. Y'all had everything you needed. Y'all had the finances was still there. So the finances weren't taken. And don't let them tell y'all that crap about the land was taken from the government. First of all, the land was seized for 2 weeks so they can do their investigation. This is normal. This is what they do in any case where anything happens. They my daughter's like, get in here, trying to get in the room. I'm trying to get and her father's like, excuse me. But yeah, you know, rather than them securing the organization, these people they got greedy, you know. People was selling the properties, you know, his own people that were there was selling the property. First of all, the land was in a nonprofit organization. So if the land is in a nonprofit organization, that means that technically y'all not paying taxes on it. You know what I'm saying? There's no real overhead on it besides basic bills. And you already had money coming in from all the stores around the world. At minimum, they were bringing in at minimum, what, about $5,000 every 2 weeks from each store, you know, and that's a minimum, you know, just for them to re-up on products. He had stores all over the world. There's still stores in London right now, up until this day, stores in Trinidad, you know, people that still support the community. So what they did was not only did they destroy the organization, but they destroyed the family foundation that was built on it. They destroyed that as well. And I honestly, you know, the older I get, the more I pay attention to more things, and you know, just being there around, and you know, I pay attention to a lot of things, and only people I can blame for it are the 9 people whose names were on the land, because the 9 people whose names were on the land that y'all sold that property. Y'all know y'all sold that property because y'all wanted to get that buck. Y'all know y'all sold that property. I'm not gonna name drop. Y'all know who y'all are. Y'all sold that property, and y'all wrong for that, because it wasn't for y'all. It was for the organization. It was for our people. It wasn't, even with him being displaced and him not being there, we could have still had something for all of our people to be able to come to. He built it there just for that, just for them. He didn't make it for him. It wasn't for him. It was for our people. So and they were wrong for that.
That's what I wanted to point out, that whether they hate Dr. York guts, there's an example there as it relates to trying to establish some sort of independence and a will, as we call in the Moorish Science Temple of America, a will within a will, meaning that although we are in the will of the United States, we still have our own will within this will, you know, and I think that's a phenomenal thing. And for anybody to disregard that from all the other things, and then focus on all the other things, and not even give that a little bit look into of something that could be tried again is a tragedy. So you're saying that there were people that was on the deed that actually sold the land?
So there were people that were a part of that were a part of the land. So how it goes is like there were 9 people. There were trusts, CEOs, CFOs, agents and stuff. So one person couldn't sell the property without the other person, or this person couldn't sell the property without signing it over to that person or that. So all of y'all made a buck out of it. Every single one of y'all know y'all did something. Y'all all did.
Now we had,
and the sad part about it is it was people that were family, people that who said their kids would touch. Some of those people were on the deed too. And I don't think that's a coincidence to me. I don't think that's I'm gonna mention it. Yeah, I'm gonna mention, one name. I'm gonna mention the situation with Habiba Washington, which is Abigail, also known Abigail. Her father was one of the people on the deed. So you had your ends on selling that property somehow.
And where we would try to locate some Habiba. Where is Habiba today? Because it seemed like everybody went quiet.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she left the country for a little bit. I don't know if she came back into the country or whatever, but all of these people they scattered, and what I think is interesting too, some of them scattered, and then some of them they just found a brother that they could just latch on to. Oh yeah, let me just go date this brother since I knew I was obsessive over the father and I couldn't have him, but we got him locked up, so let me go chase after one of his kids, so yeah. So and they should feel bad for that. Like, you should feel bad that if you say that you was abused by the father of the person you're dating now you're dating his son. So don't you feel like you're being abused every day? Isn't that a reminder of you being sexually abused? I mean, you would think it would be, but I mean, I don't know the psychosis of these people. So, hey.
Let me ask you, your sister, I remember your sister reached out to me.
I know I have to learn to be more, to stop being so brutal.
Now we love the passion, though. The passion is real. I tell people all the time, just because I'm passionate don't mean I'm in my passions, which mean I'm not perturbed enough and I'm just passionate. Your sister had reached out to me the time before last that you came on the show. She wanted to come on the show, and it seemed like she was just so angry with you. She was like, she wanted to come. I mean, she was texting me. She had got my number from her brother, and she just was texting me over and over and over and over. And so only thing I said was, I said she could come on. I said, but just not that night. I said, let Uma York finish, and you can come tomorrow. So anyway, she got really mad and said, I'll go to the other network. I said, okay, whatever. Do you think that
TV?
Yeah. Do you think that the relationship that you had with your father, that it may have caused a sort of rift between any of your brothers and sisters that were on the land?
First of all, she was mad that my father even said he gave me that house in Bushwick. She was mad at that. That was the beginning of her hatred for me, because she felt like she invested so much of her time into his case and his people and trying to live this image. Yeah, she was one of the people that helped. She, like I said, she was at the Buttercup Lounge, and when you listen to their story, one said, oh no, I don't know anything about the Buttercup Lounge, and then she was like, don't you remember, it was my birthday and we were at the Buttercup Lounge?
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Whatever, so I've noticed that her hate towards me built from then, when she realized that my father was, when my father said, no, leave alone, let her have Bushwick, let her deal with that. I mean, I was already told that from when I was young. My dad, this is why he was teaching me certain things. You're going to learn how to run this business. You're going to learn how to do this, that. I'm going to show you where the money is coming in, how the money's coming in, this, so that this foundation is always able to bring its own resources, so that we never have to beg our people for money. We just give them the opportunity to choose whether they want to be here or not. You know, my
Right.
father has never asked anybody. He's never said, "Hey, give me some money so I can build this school," or anything. He built what he did was he created jobs that built resources that brought money in, so that our people didn't have to do that. He picked up people from off the streets that were homeless, that were alcoholics. You know what I'm saying? That needed jobs, that needed anything, and he brought them into a different life, a different path. You know what I'm saying? He that's what he did. You know, so. But when it comes down to her, I mean, I don't know what's going on with her at this point. You know, I don't know.
Well,
You
just
know,
not her,
I
but
don't.
do you think just not her? I was just using her as an example. Do you think that they all felt that the ones that was on the land, because there was so many, but do you think the ones that you encountered on the land, your brothers or sisters, do you think they had some type of rift with you because of the relationship with
No,
your father?
a lot of my brothers and sisters, a lot of them were young. I'm
Okay,
actually, I'm actually I'm in the middle ages. You
right,
know, I know I look a lot younger than what I am, but
right,
I'm actually in the middle age. You know, my sister Leah, she's only what 3 years older than me.
right.
You know, so, huh? Which is, yeah. Why he's like in the background? He's like the echo.
That's right. No, because they don't know that he was there on the land, that he has
Yeah, he was there.
experience, and I can't wait to have him up. You know, but the brother be so busy, but that's the thing,
He back
and
there
for
building somebody's house right now or
and what
something.
I'm saying is that those that are in the audience right now, and they like to critique every time you come on here. They don't realize that you got a super backup support right there that can come and validate and verify everything that you said. But what you were saying about your sisters, brothers and sisters.
A lot of my younger brothers and sisters, they loved me. You know, I honestly I distanced myself because I felt like I was beating a dead horse. And the reason why, and I know it is bad for me, you know, to even say that, but you know, a lot of my brothers and sisters, they would reach out to me, talk to me. I try my best to be a good sister. I try my best to help them financially, mentally, any which way I could help. I try to do it, which is why my father made sure that I had that house, because he told me if any brothers or sisters needed somewhere to stay, I know that you would help them, and I know that you would be the one to let them in. And that's what I did until, you know, the organization made sure they pushed us out, you know. But you know, me, I've been a very loving sister. I've tried my best, and then I had to realize I was putting that my brothers and sisters, I was putting my siblings higher than my own child, you know, because the same a month before my father was incarcerated, I had a son, you know. So, you know, I have a 20-year-old son. Yes. So, you know, I realized that I was putting in too much time into, you know, coddling them, you know, with their emotions, because I know how it felt to be alone, and I know what it felt like, you know. So I realized I was doing too much of that and not focusing on my own child, you know. So at a certain point in my life, I had to balance things out, you know. And the older they got, the more they've adapted to the streets, you know. The more they adapted to the streets, the more we kind of like went separate ways. They had to learn to adapt to their environment, and this environment is very tough, you know. So, you know, when you're being raised to be, you know, humble, sweet, conscious, and you know, you're supposed to be on the path of helping people, you know, and then when you get thrown out here in this world, whew, it definitely changes your perspective on things and
Oh
makes you
yeah.
like, why are we helping these people? Or why are we, you know, because you get attacked and you don't even have, people have no reasons for why they do it. They just do it because it makes them feel good inside, or what, I don't know, you know, it's a trend. Oh, let's, you know, that, you know, people don't find out true stories. They don't care, you know what I'm saying? So it,
What led you to, because the first when you originally came on the show, we was talking about how Brother Polite basically tried to kill you, basically. If
yeah.
anybody never seen it, it was on it. What led you to uh arrive in Brooklyn? It's Brooklyn, right?
Hmm.
Flatbush. Flatbush.
Hmm.
What
No, it's
what,
Bushwick.
Bushwick, my
Hmm.
apology. Bushwick. How did you end up arriving in Bushwick? I think was you your adopted parents or something living in Bushwick or near there?
No,
How
so
did that happen?
I, first of all, I AWOL'd.
Oh yeah, I
I
remember that
was
part.
like, I'm not, y'all not about to keep putting me in homes after homes after home. I'm gonna tell you what y'all not. And mind you, running, like I said, running from pedophile after pedophile, you know.
Right.
So that within itself was a whole nother traumatizing situation in my life. You know, just running away from people. You know, when I finally got to a stable situation with one of my friends, their mother, she didn't have any girls. So because she didn't have girls, she took me in. I talked to her, and our first real connection was I spoke to her mother. Her mother was a deaf woman, you know, and she was so her daughter was so amazed that I took the time out to learn sign language to talk to her mother, because she was just like, nobody would actually try to talk to her. And I just like, she's an elder, I want to learn from her, like I want to know her experiences in life and stuff like that. So I actually took the time out to learn from her, you know. And she just recently passed, you know. But yeah, I took the time out to learn from her. So she wanted to hear my story. It gave her that she wanted to learn about me more. So when I started telling her my story, she was like, wow, sounds a little, you know, different, you know, sounds crazy or whatever. So I told her, I said, I can show it to you. Can you just take me to the place and I'll show you where I was raised, where I was born. I took her to the house where I was born. And when I took her to the house where I was born, she was just like, okay, well, there's something there, you know. Then after that, you know, she was like, yeah, let's go inside. Let's talk to these people. Let's try to get in touch with your dad. Let's try to get in touch with your dad, you know. So she was able to get in touch with my dad, and my dad was like, okay, cool. I know where my daughter's at, you know. And he was, you know, taking care of me from then on. How I ended up in Bushwick was one time, you know, my dad contacted me and said, you know, your grandmother needs to, you know, have family around. You need to go visit your grandmother a lot. Go visit her. You're literally right up the block from where you're supposed to be at. So I would walk about 20 blocks and more to go all the way to Bushwick from East New York. I would walk practically Brownsville, East New York. I would walk all the way from there to Bushwick Avenue to go see my grandmother. And when I told my father that I was walking there all the time, he was just like, you know, you might as well go live there. Just go live there. Just take the house.
So he was home at that time?
Yeah, he was home during that time.
Okay.
Yes.
So how did it so did you actually go and live there?
Yeah, I ended up living there later on. After he got incarcerated, I went there and I went to go live there.
Okay. And that's when you met up with what's that, Brother Polite?
Well, I met up with Brother Polite, let's say months later after that. Yeah.
I want to get into that for a second.
I was already living there.
What did you initially, because it seemed like Brother Polite moved real fast on his, and please forgive me if I'm wrong for those who still follow the teachings, but it seemed like he moved real fast on his new Wapian teachings or something like that.
That's my father's teachings. He just regurgitated his.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It seemed like he moved real. It seemed like he moved real fast on it. And so when you met him, what was that? Maybe you can paint us a picture, because that's a good story that we need to cover again too.
When I met him, he was wearing baggy jeans, wearing blue all the time. Him and his friends, it was him. I remember he had a friend named Water, who's also now Nubian or trying to push his knowledge. I'm not sure what his new name is now, but some you know, one of these brothers out here now, I've noticed that he's have a YouTube channel and he raps and stuff like that. But yeah, he was a part of his clan, and then he had you know, his wives. But they would just like, to me, when I seen them, because you know, I was from up the block, you know what I'm saying? Like and everybody in my whole neighborhood knows me. That's she's cool, you know, she rollerblades up and down the block and stuff. Everybody know me. I say hi to all the neighbors, you know. So when I seen them compared to the average people, I was like, oh, these some niggas from Brownsville, or these some hood niggas, or whatever, you know. And excuse my language, but yeah, you know, these some hood dudes, you know. That's what I seen when I seen them, you know. Now when it comes down to his transition, you know, at first, you know, I guess I wanted to doubt it so much. I wanted it not to really be what I was seeing right in front of my face. But he was somebody that was being implanted. He was being trained. You know, he was being implanted and trained by Patricia Lewis, Sakina, my uncle Oba, because after the shooting, he went to go live with my uncle Oba, and that's when he started, as well as King Simon. They all, you know, they.
Sis, you know King Simon gonna call me tonight or tomorrow.
So I'm gonna give King Simon this.
I'm joking. I'm joking. He is gonna call me. That's my bro. He supposed to come on the show soon too. But go ahead.
I have to say, King Simon, he wasn't a part of the plot. He was not a part of their plot. You know, I was the one that contacted King Simon and asked King Simon, can he help raise money for the bookstore? Because during then I was a child. You know, I didn't know how to you know, take care of something. Like, I was learning about financing when it comes down to paying bills and stuff. Like, that wasn't even a thing for me. Like, pay bills, what? You know, it was, I didn't know about this, you know, so I was learning while I was living in Bushwick. It was like, oh, the electricity's high, the gas bill's high, we got taxes, you know, and even though we owned the property was a satisfied deed, so you didn't have to pay mortgage or anything like that. You just had to keep the upkeeping of the property, you know. So I had to figure out ways to generate some kind of money, and I was using King Simon's platform, because King Simon was very known in New York, you know, with his radio station, and just for the conscious community, having Sabi doing seminars and stuff like that. I asked him, can he help? So some way, somehow, he and Polite, you know, hooked up. You know, somehow they hooked up, and, you know, it went from there, you know, and King Simon started marketing him and stuff. And I assumed that when he was doing it to help our cause, to help the house, to help what was going on, you know, when it comes down to, you know, just trying to keep Bushwick up waters, you know, so that we could continue that property, so that we can have some location to help with our people, you know. I assumed that was him trying to help, and it kind of backfired, because I don't think he knew that, you know, there were other people that had their ways, that had their ends on it, that had other plans. Their whole plans was to seek and destroy, you know. Right. So, and their whole purpose was to destroy the image of the Nubian community. That was their whole purpose. Their whole purpose is to destroy the image, and heck, they've done a great job with it. Now, you know, all you hear nowadays is, oh man, these people are pedos. You know what I'm saying? This one touching that one. And then even Nature Boy was an implant. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, back and forth, these people just slowly being implanted in our community to deter us from an uprising of our people. That's the whole purpose, to deter us from being together. You know, you can pick and choose at this point now. You can see, like, okay, nah, this is some bull crap. He over here talking about all this conscious stuff, but got women over here fighting on the beach. That don't make no sense, where women is supposed to be God to you. I don't know. But, you know, it's just, you start to see that.
I don't mean to cut your wisdom, but I didn't want to get away from Polite. Do you think Polite sensed that you knew that he wasn't who he was portraying to be?
Oh yeah, he knew that. He was like, this girl's a threat. Because first of all, his image, the way he came off, like, oh yeah, I'm this and that. I was like, oh, okay, cool, that's fine. Let me go up the block in Brevoort Projects and go tell my homeboys to come chill at the house. That's what I would do. You know, I would do stuff like that. And they were like, yo, this girl she know a whole bunch of thugs. She know a bunch of guys that's willing to take people out if need be, you know what I'm saying? So that was scary to these people. So they were looking at it like, yeah, she gotta go. You know, it was basically like an ultimatum situation. That's how I feel, you know. I became a threat to them, and I'm not the type of person, I wasn't gonna back down. I know my purpose. My purpose is to help our people. My purpose is to make sure my family, my brothers and sisters had somewhere to stay. So I was definitely keeping myself grounded to the ground to make sure that happened by any means necessary.
Last thing about Polite. What did Polite even the way that he was repping when he walked through the door, so to say, did he even communicate with your father to put himself as the authority? Because he started moving as the authority, not as an authority officially, but, you know, he had a command of your father's lessons, and he began to move on him as if he was an authority on the lessons, and he repped your father. He even talked to the guy that accused your father of molestation, and that video that video on the bench, and he's like, he's saying the guy, you know, if it did happen, this, that, and the third, that's another story. But he was, what my point is that he was really, really repping for your father. Did he even communicate with your father in any way, shape, or form?
No,
why did he get to the point where he was very aggressive in defending your father as well as the teachers, as if they had a personal relationship?
Because it's profitable. Because for as long as I can say this is Dr. York, and I'm rooting for him, and I'm helping, and I'm doing that, because the followers that come behind that don't do their research is just gonna come and support. And that's exactly what it was. It's profitable. That's even to this day what I said. These people still sitting there in that house. There's no mission going on to helping, saving, or any of that. It's profitable for them. You know what I'm saying? All the way across the board. Look how much he went from being a nobody to hanging out with a bunch of other nobodies that's just on TV. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I mean, in my image, you know, the way I look at somebody that it's not somebody that's on TV that's directing our children in the wrong direction. Those are not somebodies to me, you know. So what I mean by that is like him going to hang out with the Kardashians. That goes against being conscious. Technically, that really goes against it. Whether he want to accept it or not, that goes against it. People don't understand, you know, when you're doing stuff for our community, it stays within our community. We don't support certain designers, and we don't support certain things. We support our community, and that's just what it is. We put our money back to our community. When you start seeing people outsourcing, oh yeah, I need these Gucci's, and I need this, that, and the third, you know, yeah, how is that beneficial for our community? How? When you took that $600 that you spent on a pair of shoes, you could have fed a village of children. So how are you? I'm sorry.
My apology. You mentioned Nature Boy. Was Nature Boy ever involved in the community as it relates to your father community, or you was just mentioning Nature Boy is just an infiltrator of generally our community, generally our conscious community as we would have it?
He was never a part of it. From what I know, he met somebody that he met this brother this guy named Basil, who was the same guy that I spoke about, that was the child molester. He met him at a barbershop, because Nature Boy explained to me the story himself, because we were on Bigo talking. And he explained to me, because I asked him, I was like, where do you come from? Like, where, how do you get all of this? And he said, I got this knowledge from this guy who owned the Egyptian themed bookstore. His name, he said his name was Basil Muhammad. You know, that was his name then. That's the same guy, Damian Pryor, who changes his name often, who's right now in what's that? And he's in Ghana right now, as a matter of fact, probably hanging out, sipping margaritas with my uncle. But you know, yeah.
Wow. So that's what brought him in the knowledge, you think?
No, he said that's what brought him. He said that's what made him get into it. Now you're talking about somebody who's also an infiltrator as well. So technically, y'all literally build, or y'all create these people to infiltrate the community no matter what. These people, they are there to throw the narrative of unity off. You know what I'm saying? So that you can, so when you look at it, you're like, oh man, I don't want my daughter around these people. Oh no, I don't want that. Oh no. You know, that's their whole purpose, to show you that there's no way for us to build. You know what I'm saying? That there will always be some form of destruction, when we were peaceful people that lived amongst each other for millions of years. You know what I'm saying? Before any destruction and chaos.
Wow. So this is, I mean, how y'all, hey family, if y'all liking this, family, we gonna go some more, because sis be busy, and I want to make sure that we be able to get the full strength of this. And if y'all have some questions, we'll come back later and deal with it. But you mentioned Damian Pryor. Now, now all of this is a part of your experience, you know, that has that have sometimes, you say, put you in that space where you had to find a way out. Now we mentioned Damian Pryor, that he's you claim that he was a child molester or something.
Yes.
So who is Damian Pryor? And, you know, give us some idea so people would know who you're talking about, because I think this is the picture of him here on the picture. Who is Damian Pryor?
Damien Pryor, he made himself the ambassador of the Nubian nation. He made
Okay.
himself the ambassador, and the way that he made himself the ambassador of the organization, he was beating on a girl that had power of attorney and made her give the power of attorney over. And then on top of that, he changed his name. Now, where he came from originally was he was my brother. He was my brother Ayub's friend. Him and Jacob, they were all friends at one point. All of them were friends at one point, you know. And my brother Ayub, him and my brother Ayub got incarcerated together. When Ayub got incarcerated, him and Ayub got incarcerated together. This guy obviously sung, you know what I'm saying? He started singing like a hummingbird or whatever because they were friends. So I'm not sure, but he got out on a plea. Within less than a week, he was out, and within that same week, he infiltrated the organization. That's where he came from. And my brother, he was assassinated in prison.
So you say that man, this is a heck of a story. And so you had to follow this story throughout your life.
It's my life.
What let me ask you, what was your during that time, during that period, what were you looking to achieve or to accomplish, or were you trying to get away from it? Was you trying to reclaim what your father had promised you? Where were you just in the midst, just like this is what it is? And
I wanted to understand what happened.
Yeah, there we go.
I wanted to know what happened, because you can't go from something that's so righteous and so good, you know, and then all of a sudden everything just falls apart in one day, and you know, I wanted to know what happened. And what I realized is that there was so much hatred. There was so much hatred amongst my father. You know, like even to this day, I realize how deep sibling rivalries can be. I mean, you see how much my sister hates me, you know, just how deep sibling rivalry is. I realized that my father, you know, and his siblings were probably the same, that they had the same, you know, hatred for one another. I doubt it was him, because he wanted to help everybody, you know. So when I look at the situation now, you know, it was the siblings that wanted to be on the platform, you know what I'm saying, that now all of a sudden, since he's locked up, it's like, hey, we would like to contact you so you can talk about your brother. We would like to contact you. So now they're being put in the highlight now that he's incarcerated. And that's and I realized that this envy amongst our people, that's what destroys us. And I know, you know, I've been blaming stuff on a lot of the stuff on the organization and stuff, but I realized that there are people that are placed, that are there, that are my own family members, that didn't want to see him do great, that didn't want him to help our people, that didn't want that at all, you know. And they probably hated the fact that he was my grandmother's favorite child. I remember when my grandmother was on her deathbed, when she had Alzheimer's, and me and my brother went to visit her, and the first thing she could say is Esau, and we were like, no, grandma, that's not him. That's one of his sons, you know, that's such and so and so. And she just kept saying Esau. That's all she wanted was him. No matter who wiped her behind to make sure she was getting her, or make sure she got her next meal, all she wanted was him. And that's it. And I realized that bothered them. That bothered them.
So with your brother, and I'll just bring this up because I think this all affects you know, how we develop into who we are. With your brother Jacob, did you ever have a relationship with Jacob in any way, shape, or form?
Yes, I actually did have a relationship with Jacob. Jacob used to come to my mom's house when I was young. He was actually, you know, a good brother. You know, he would come to my mom's house and, you know, buy me and my brother gifts, and, you know, just be a brother. You know, he would be there. It wasn't just him. It was, you know, my brother Yad was always there at our house, and my other brother, who, you know, I'm sure he don't want me to say his name, but that family, you know, their mother used to stay with us at some point, you know, so, you know, they would always come visit. That picture is just
Well, that's Jacob York with Little Kim. I think that's his claim to fame, Junior Mafia. You know, I mean, he did other things too, but I think one of the biggest things that he's done for the hip hop community was to be a part of the rise of Junior Mafia, Little Kim, et cetera,
Yeah,
Lil
and
C's, et
Biggie.
cetera. And Biggie,
Yeah, and
yes.
Biggie, yeah, because I mean, when I was young, I've seen Biggie, I've seen Craig Mack, I've seen all of them. They would come to his house and hang out. I've met Little Kim, I've met Charlie Baltimore, I've met all of them when we were kids. They used to call us Bebe's kids. They were like, these kids are bad. They were like, these some smart kids, like, but we know they Bebe kids because they some smart kids. They know how to outsmart you. You know.
So what do you think? What do you think happened to Jacob York? You know, it got to the point where people accused him of and we talked about it on the show, where people accused him of setting up your father over jealousy, over money and things. How did it get to the point where Jacob York is amongst the circles that the prime suspect of trying to set your father up? Have you followed that part?
Of course. I realized that they needed a fall down guy. They needed a fall down guy, and he was the perfect person to use as a fall down guy, because it would affect not only the organization, but it will also affect family, and it will show you that there was a lack of unity amongst that family. Periods, which destroyed the whole organization. Now, that does not take away from what was being done, you know, but I strongly believe that, you know, he was being used as a pawn. I believe that.
So do you think he worked with the authorities to actually bring the organization down?
I feel like when it came, like when I did some of the research on a lot of the paperwork, the court paperwork, I didn't see his name. You know, I didn't see his name on a lot of those court documents that they, you know, claimed, you know, he did this or he said that. I didn't see his name there. So, you know, I lived with this. I can honestly say I've lived with this hate. You know, hate is a strong word. I've lived with this anger towards him, you know, of why would you do this? Why didn't you think about your brothers and sisters? You know, why would you, you know, destroy your family the way you would? You could have came to us and we could have figured out a solution first before, you know, going to other people. But I feel like, you know, I don't know
You
what
know,
he was going through.
whenever we talk to him, when I talk to him on the show, he seems like he's still angry. You know what I'm saying? Like he really like it's one thing, like, okay, your father is accused and been convicted of some things. And it's one thing to say, okay, but that's my father. That was then, it is what it is. But he goes on to call him monsters. And I mean, come on.
Well,
like, I mean,
you know,
I get it, you know, but I don't get it from a son. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's just like, okay, yeah, that happened then. Listen, this is where I'm at now. But it seems as if it's
there's a
still
strong. So I believe that, you know, partial of his hate for his father stems from his mother passing and our father, you know, not being there, you know, during the whole burial process or just being there at all. I believe that it stemmed from that. And I also believe that it also stemmed from, you know, Nikki Lopez. Nikki Lopez, I believe, was one of his girlfriends, you know, back in the day. And, you know, I believe he was in love with her or something like that. And, you know, she was one of the people that also were on the case, speaking about being, you know, molested or something like that, you know. So I think that kind of pushed him to a point where, you know, he just had it, you know.
Oh,
And may I add,
yeah, I remember that part. But go ahead, sis.
yeah, may I add, you know, partial of the closed case in Nikki Lopez that people don't know about is that she was molesting children herself.
Yeah, and I remember that. I remember that he was possibly upset that he felt like that Nikki had a relationship with your father, and that was a part of his get back for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's right. And
I believe that. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Wow. Somebody asked in the crowd, Michael Easton, he says, Morse World TV, please ask her if her father was born in Ghana, Liberia, or Sudan.
He definitely wasn't born in Liberia. or Ghana. Sudan, I'm confused about that. He has birth certificates on Set the Record Straight that says that he was born in Boston. So I'm pretty confused on a lot of things when it comes down to where his natural birth is. Now, I do remember him telling me that, you know, the father that they claim to be his father is not his father. Our father his grandfather was originally from Sudan. My father went to school in Sudan. That's where he studied. He went to college in Sudan, in Khartoum, you know, and he stayed there for years. Along with, he knew a lot of people in Sudan. So it was kind of weird for him not to have been from that area of known people over there in that region. And even when I was actually in Africa, they actually knew my family. They were like, "Oh wow, you come from this family? Oh wow," that surprisingly, because they said to me, they were like, "You look like this girl, this person," and I was like, "Who? What family?" And they were like, "You know, the Mati family." They were like, "You look just like them, like just like them," and I was like, interesting. My father said that that's a part of our bloodline. And they were like, "Yeah, you look just like them." I mean, the people were out there trying to shake my hand and, "Can I take a picture with you?" And I was just like, this is weird.
Do you think you'll ever write a book about your experience? I know we having this conversation here, but my brother Kryptonite said, you know, that she needs to write a book. For real, for real. She needs to write a book.
I know.
You ever thought about that?
I definitely did start writing a book. I started writing it, but like I said, I do have my moments where I'm like, I can't do this, I could do this, I can't do this, I could do this, I can't do this. I definitely have my moments. So the name of my book that I started writing was called 1 out of 100. And that was one story that I was gonna write. Then I was gonna write another story about being kidnapped. And that was gonna be my other you know, like part of the story. But right now I took my way off of that, and I decided to write a book about embracing young Black girls and stuff like that. It's called Humbling Yourself for Spirituality. And I've been working towards that right now more than anything, honestly.
Do you think that you would ever be able to embrace any of your brothers and sisters? Is it any of them that you embrace now that you
Yeah, I
communicate with?
mean, yes, I mean, I love my brothers and sisters, you know, when they're around and when they're themselves and they're not trying to live this image and likeness of how they were not raised. Yeah, I love, you know.
Right. I'm saying that have you ever
Yeah, when they're themselves, yeah, I love my brothers and sisters.
I mean, do y'all communicate and you know, or it's just when it
Yeah, I
happens,
was
it
just with
happens?
one of my brothers earlier today.
That's
Yeah,
what's up. That's what's
I
up.
stayed in communication with a lot. I'm gonna be honest with you. I stayed in communication with a lot of my siblings. I was that rock for the family. Like my father said, you're the one that keep the family together. And it took for me to separate myself to watch my family just scatter, you know.
Wow.
I tried my best until I realized that it was hurting me too much. It was a part of me going back in my darker days, you know. When I started to realize that some of my siblings didn't have the best interest for me, I had to walk away. I realized one day, I asked one of my older siblings, you know, because a lot of my siblings, the younger ones, they don't know a lot of their older siblings. I know a lot of my siblings. I know a lot from the older to the younger. You know, like a person can come up to me and be like, "I'm one of your siblings." I'm gonna say, "No, you're not. I already know. I can look at you. I'll say, who's your mom? Who's this? I already know, you know, whether you're a sibling or not. We have certain features that's just defined, you know."
Right.
But hmm,
What do you think about see if I can find it real quick. What do you think about brother let me see if I can find it real quick. Brother Prince York. Have you ever communicated with the brother Prince York?
do I commute? The last time I've had any connections and communications with him was, you know, we've had dialogue, you know, online here and there and stuff. But yeah, I don't communicate with him, and the reason why is because, you know, when he was a kid, I used to, you know, hold him, and you know, this was the baby. Like I said, when his mom was running around trying to, you know, trying to be up on the doc, you know, these people didn't care for their kids, so their kids were always just left there for their siblings to take care of. So he was one of the kids that me and my sister used to take time, you know, nursing and stuff like that. When I mean, like, you know, making sure he's fed and, you know, cleaning his diapers and stuff like that. We took care of the kids, you know. So yeah, when he got older, he was very, very disrespectful, very disrespectful. At one point he was also, he called himself a Crip at one point too, and last conversation I had with him as an adult, I mean, one of my brothers had to punch him in the face because he was being extremely disrespectful to me. And I literally left the hospital after just having a child, just to go to a family reunion, just to be disrespected by one of my brothers. Or he was, yeah. And it was like, unnecessary disrespect. Like, why, yeah, we come from this rich family. Why you not wearing Gucci, and why you not wearing that? And it was just like, dude, can you get this guy on my face? Like, it was just one of those. And he felt offended because I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to go back and forth with him over stupidity.
When I first seen him on social media, and he seems to be a close resemblance of a certain period of time of your father look. Did you see that in him?
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
It's like, whoa.
I have this brother that, oh no, I have a sibling that no matter where we go, people like, I know you, and we always be like, nope, you don't know us. We know who you know, but because he looks just like him. He looks just like him. People have gotten him mistaken by him. There's a big difference. Like, but there's children that look like different eras of him. During his different stages in life. Yes, there are. All of his kids, I mean, all of us, we have a certain look where you like, yeah, that's definitely his kid, that he with all of the 100 of kids that there is, guess what? Yeah, we all got some kind of resemblance of that man.
Have you found a way to keep communication, or is communication with your father sporadic?
I really wish I can keep communication with my father. As a matter of fact, one of the people were arguing with me today about it, talking about, you need to talk to your father, or you should talk to him through me and all of this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you don't feel like that's a form of disrespect to feel like I got to go through you to talk to my father. You don't feel like that's some kind of, but whatever. I've written my father. I have letters and letters that I've written him. They've always came back. A lot of them come back. And I've even called the prison like, hey, what's going on? And they'll say stuff like, well, he's overloaded with a lot of mail. There's a lot of people writing him. This man has a fan mail. Like, he has a whole bunch of mail from other people, from people just in general, and we don't know what to put through and what not to put through, because everybody's claiming to be his kid, so that they don't realize that they make it so much harder for us to get in touch with our own father. The organization or the people, they make it so hard for us to be able to get in touch with him, and like, to me, what I say is, if he just doesn't want to get in touch with us, then that's just what it is, and they'll say stuff like, he's doing it for your own safety. Like, oh, really?
Right.
Like, whatever, so yeah, if I could write him, people always say, yeah, you can write him, just give me the letter and I'll put it in my letter. And and it's like, I'm trying to tell him about you being shady, so I don't know how that's gonna work.
Right.
But whatever.
Now in the poem that triggered this this conversation, which is a very good conversation, got about 10 more minutes. In the poem, you mentioned that basically he chose, let me pull it back up real quick. He chose, it says, you chose them over your blood, my friend. Do you think that your father may have seen the importance of trying to move the meter of our people by gathering our people to help that meter to move a little bit, and he had to kind of say, well, this is my family, but this is for the greater humanity family? Do you ever consider that?
Yeah, I feel like we were sacrificed. Yes, he sacrificed. Right. Okay. He sacrificed time with us so that our people could understand what unity is, and just us as a family together as one. But I can honestly say that his sacrifice has hurt me a lot. you know, and the reason why is because the same people that he sacrificed for were the same people that made sure his kids were on the streets and made sure that his kids had nothing. So it was like, you know, living in a situation where it's like, so I'm supposed to embrace y'all, but y'all don't embrace me. I'm supposed to, you know, so it has a adverse effect, I guess, you know, on the way I feel about our people. You know, I love our people so much, but, you know, I always say to myself, you have to keep them at a distance because you never know when they're ready to hurt you, you know, because that's just what I've experienced, you know.
Have you found someone or have been in contact with one or communicated with one that was with you on the land and you are still tight to this day where you can go back and just be open, raw yourself and say, remember this?
Yep, I do. Yeah. I
So
wouldn't say his name, but
no, it's cool. That's cool. That's cool. But
yeah.
are you able to, when you talk to that person, are you able to relive some of the good moments and even pull out some of the moments where you're like, man, I forgot about that?
Yes.
That's why you need that book.
Yeah. We talk about a lot of stuff, and you know, it's interesting because you know, that person, people would never suspect that me and him still talk to this day. You know, but yeah, we still talk all the time. You know, I'll call, check up on him, he checks up on me, you know. We talk about our experiences as children because we grew up together. We knew each other since, you know, we were young. I also have some friends that I still communicate with here and there. Just, you know, it's from a distance, honestly, like Facebook or Instagram and stuff like that. But as a whole, I tried my best to kind of like distance myself because I look at it like that organization has been tampered, you know. So I feel like there's so much more other people in this world besides them that, you know, needs to understand that we are as a people need to be one as a whole, which is why I did my youth development program for a little bit, teaching young girls about etiquette and stuff like that, you know, teaching them about the culture. I did that for a reason because I wanted to reach out to others, not just the people that, you know, already had their hands on this kind of knowledge and experience and stuff. I wanted to share it to other people.
This is just an amazing interview, and sis, I appreciate you for always granting me access into your life, into your
Of
family
course.
life, because you don't grant many people access.
No, I don't.
You don't.
I don't even. Yeah.
You don't
No,
grant many people access,
no,
and I'm
no.
just honored.
But
I'm
I'm
just
very
honored, and that's
respectful. Like if people say hi, I say hi back, but that's about it.
yeah, I'm honored because you. I mean, even coming on Morse World TV, you know you're gonna get attacks, but you don't mind.
Yeah,
Every time I reach out,
that's life.
you respond. You know what I'm saying? And I'm honored. Do you ever think that you would be able to share your experience with your children, or do you already do that?
Well, my son, because my son, like I said, he was born a month before my dad was incarcerated. He pretty much has been there with me. Hell, he was in the
Okay.
house when Polite tried to kill me. He was literally hiding inside of the cushion, the couch. You know, so yeah, I mean, and with him, I mean, I can show you his room. His room has pictures of my dad in his room, and I have to tell him, listen, you know, you know, can you take it
What's
down, please? Or
so with that being said, what is the silver lining in your experience that you would share with your children? Maybe you could share with us. What is the silver lining? What, if any?
what I do teach my children is about unity and having respect for one another, always respecting your people. Stay within one another. I don't believe in certain things. I don't want to come off to seem racist. But when I speak to my children in regards to them having significant others or anything like that, I tell them that I want them to bring someone of like us. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring anything. Because that's how I was raised. You know, you can have them as friends or close friends or anything like that, but you don't inbreed or I don't want to say, I didn't want to say that, but you know, hell, what the hell I say.
Hey, they're gonna say you said it
I
anyway.
said it.
So
I know they're gonna say I said it. They trust me. I've had people say, "Man, she's a racist," and I'm like, "Oh well." You
right.
know, you're always gonna be considered a racist if you embrace your own. own culture. So at the end of the day, it's damn if you do, damn if you don't situation. They want us to feel guilty for embracing our culture. So they make us feel like we're racist for embracing our culture. So hell, what the hell?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, race pride is not racism. You know what I mean? Those are two different things.
Facts.
Race pride is not racism. You know what I mean? And so there's nothing nobody can tell me. You know, I'm going to have race pride, like it or not.
You know, I was on a Clubhouse one time in a room with a bunch of Nubian sisters speaking about, you know, dating outside their race. And I was explaining to them about how I teach my son to date in his race. And they were like, well, you shouldn't do that. And I was like, wow, these women, wow. So I'm a very big advocate for changing the perspective of our women, because I feel like our women is the source to a lot of our problems in our community.
I got like 2 more questions. Have you talked to anyone? Now, this is going to get some people mad. Have you talked to anyone who have presented some evidence that your father is innocent? And would you support that?
Somebody who
I say that because because I know like 3 people that I've talked to, that I spoke to, that have built cases around his innocence. They're not going to let it out yet, but they have built cases around his innocence. It means that all of these years they have been pulling evidence. You follow me? To establish his innocence. Have you ever met anybody like that?
No, not really. At one point I was one of the people that was, you know, pulling out things that people probably weren't paying attention to, like, you know, how he owned over 30 properties, almost practically 80 properties in New York. And most of the people that, you know, sold his properties were people that had power of attorneys who said that their kids weren't being molested, they were committing fraud, you know. So I definitely would like to see some of those documents and stuff like that and see how we can puzzle piece things together. Yeah, I've always, no matter what, you know, I'm still here for our people, no matter what, by any means necessary, because there's still lessons that he has not taught our people, which is why a lot of our people are still stuck. And why you see the new generation are just completely lost. They're just walking around just saying, I'm God, I'm God, I'm a goddess. And they have no idea how to start to even be a goddess. You know what I mean?
And the reason why I think that question that I asked you is very important, because what your father has been accused of and what he's been convicted of, some people who say those are 2 different things, but it seems like we as a people, we never give ourselves the chance to revisit and say, did I make the right decision in believing what was presented to me? But now, can I review what's presented to me today? This is why I asked you that. And I asked it not only to you, but for the audience, that if one is accused of something that is egregious and unbelievable, do we have the mind that say, okay, let me review this again? And so I'm glad that I got that question out, because we throw the hands up on each other.
I mean, look at what we did to Bill Cosby. We threw his name in the dirt. We ain't fix it or clean it or anything. And we're our own worst enemy. We're the ones making memes about it and making jokes about it, but we don't clean up their image after we're done.
So like PHF Film said, Doc coming home in 2024.
I've been hearing that for years.
And it's a lot of people that believe in that, and a lot of people that, and like I said, I've heard, and I've actually talked to a few people that said that they have been building this case of innocence. And so I'm willing to wait for it. I have patience for my people, you know what I mean? Because I know, and I may get a lot of flack for this. I know that the way that this thing works is the chips are stacked against us.
It is.
On every end. And so I will give up when I'm in the ground, you know. If Dr. York, Malachi Z York, say he's innocent of those charges, and they have presented some things that says he's guilty, and you have supporters that say, no, we can prove that today, I have to have a reservation. You know what I'm saying? Because it's my people. And I know that the odds and the chips are stacked against us. But I'm not saying he's innocent or guilty. I'm saying this is my people. Let me just not pass judgment until we see. So I'm patient with that. And I hope our people would do that too.
Yeah, that's a fact. That's one of our biggest problems. You know, we pass judgment. We're always looking for the bad in people than rather than looking for the good. You know, and
Right.
that's a big problem that we have.
And I want to say to those who have claimed victim, I don't want you to think that I am insensitive to the experience that you may have expressed. But at the same time, if if it's anybody that says that they're innocent of something, and you're up against this big empire,
Mm-hmm.
I have to reserve myself for a minute and say, I'm not saying guilty. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
saying innocent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying I'll reserve myself until the end.
And I want to say something to them as well. You know, and anybody that knows me knows I'm just, you know, brutally honest. But I want to say that, you know, if this is a situation that has happened to you, you know, the way I explained how women were always with him, he couldn't take a crap without there being somebody saying, hey, you want some tissue to wipe your behind with? Where were all those other people that were there watching this stuff happen to you? And you need to start naming them. And if so, then that means that there should be a lot of people also incarcerated for endangering the welfare of children. I just want to mention that as well.
I appreciate you, sis. And we gotta come back on here because we always keep an interesting conversation. Next time we're gonna bring your husband back up here when he's not busy,
I
maybe in a
know.
couple weeks or so. We're gonna bring him up in a couple weeks because you
Definitely.
you guys had some interesting conversation. If y'all don't know, and we're gonna go over that letter again. Her husband actually gave me a letter that came from Doc, and I think we need to review that again to let people know. Because one thing about me, man, I want to keep the real. I want to keep the real alive, man. And am so inspired by that land. And now I hear more detail every time I talk to you, a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
this is a
There's more
restaurant here, and
there's
this is
pieces to this. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, just his plans alone. I mean, the more research I do, I'm like, wow, I didn't even know he owned this property. Oh, wow. I didn't know, you know, like someone mentioned to me that he used to own the land that the stadium is on in Atlanta, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I didn't know that. You know, I was
wow.
just like, wow, but I'm still, you know, I still have to do research on it to get some documents behind it. But someone mentioned it to me. They were like, yeah, I was with him with the sale when we actually purchased it. And I was like, wow. So
Mm.
he became a threat because he was trying to buy Black Hollywood for us and make this a safe haven for our Nubian people, and he became a threat.
And speaking of that, last thing, could you imagine if it was no infiltration, no accusation, or no improprieties? What would we have in the talents like Young Thug,
Whew.
Gunner?
Oh no, they
You
wouldn't
know,
be out. They wouldn't see because there was no such thing as pushing that type of ignorance amongst our people.
but can you
You
imagine a mind state that
oh yeah.
they may still be the Young Thug, but not Young Thug?
Yes.
Because the talent is the talent. You see what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? The Gunner is the talent of the talent. You know what I'm saying? I'm just
Mm-hmm.
saying if that
I
would
can
have took
honestly say
shape.
I don't listen to Young Gutter, so I don't know. I'm just
Yeah,
assuming that the
no,
name.
yeah, it's Gunner. But I'm just
Okay.
saying that the influence that would have had in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in Georgia alone, the influence that would have. And when I say talent, somebody say, "Oh my God, Young Thug, the talent." I'm not talking about the talent of the lower vibration. I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about if that talent was influenced
Mm-hmm.
by those who lived on the land and it vibrated throughout Atlanta.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I'm talking
I
about. Do
mean,
you know what I mean?
we could use 21 Savage as an example. 21 Savage
Yeah.
was somebody that was raised in our community. He was somebody that was raised on the land. And what happened when they realized he was doing donations to Black schools? Then they were like, "Oh, this nigga's an immigrant and he don't belong in this country." I'm sure everyone's seen that. They tried to send him back to London. You know, so that shows you that they fear the you know what could come out of this community. They fear us more than anything, and we have to learn to, you know, start becoming one as a unity and start supporting one another and start embracing this you know, knowledge and teaching it to our children. You know, we have to, because, you know, if we don't, then I mean right now they're finding different ways of killing us. I mean, nowadays people are not even finding watermelons with seeds in it. Let's be for real, you know.
Absolutely.
And what a lot of people don't even know is when you're eating genetically modified foods, that stuff affects your system from you being able to reproduce. It's affecting your reproductive system so that you're not able to have children. They have a whole purpose out here, and a whole purpose is to destroy us, is to destroy, you know what I mean? So
Absolutely. At
yeah,
every end, you know,
and by
from the
any
music,
means
from the
necessary.
food,
Hmm.
from the news, from at every end. Even right now, you know, the destructionists are watching this to try to
Yeah.
really design another way to chop off these
Oh
messages.
yeah. Oh yeah. I
You know,
mean,
so
with you know, my father, another, I have to mention this too, another big problem with my father and my brother, you know, was the music industry. You know, he was pushing for conscious music. He was pushing for, there were brothers that he was putting out there that were all conscious music, conscious music. And then, you know, you got people like Little Kim that's speaking all of this extra explicit stuff, teaching our girls to be prostitutes and teaching them to, you know, chase after money, which is not a way of life. You know what I'm saying? That she started the whole different color wigs and stuff, just the self-hate which has been taught amongst our community. You know what I mean? Which now you see till this day, girls walk around with flashes on their eyes and extremely long fingernails. That is very unclean. That's not how, you know, a woman is supposed to present herself as a woman. So, you know, all of these different things has a cause and effect on our community no matter what. And what we don't realize is we're still supporting another economy with our self-hate, with these different things that they teach us. It actually has a cause and effect on affecting our community from growing and helping other economies to thrive. So yeah.
exactly. Well, this just was another wonderful interview, sis. Anything you like to say in closing, sis?
You know, peace and blessings to all. And, you know, all I can say is, you know, let's work together and let's all be one. You know,
My brother.
let's teach the children that they are, you know, they come from greatness, and that our future will be nothing but greatness if we continue to raise them in a positive light.
I appreciate you, sis. And tell your king I said peace and love, and I can't wait to talk to him on the next go around.
Ashe,
Peace,
ashe.
sis.
Peace, adabo.
Whoa. Hey, so family, this was a beautiful interview, and that's my sister, that's my friend, and we will be bringing her back again. I'm also going to have my brother, Doctor. I'm going to have my brother, Doctor Asar, to come maybe on Saturday night, or I'll check his schedule to examine this interview because we've done an interview in the temple, and I'm going to upload that probably tomorrow. I've been busy, but Dr. Asar, um, he watches this conscious community. He watches all communities that relates to our people, and he's a real doctor. And I got some questions for him about healing and things of that nature, along with a bunch of other questions. Again, family, you know, we're going to raise the vibration on the show. But if I ever do a show where um I'm calling out weirdos, not scammers, just weirdos. I'm really baiting them so they can say my name, like last night. I bait these people so they can say my name, so Tahaka Bay can get in the algorithms, and so we can have 326 people in this chat. So, you know, last night I was talking about the guy during Boss Talk, and I played where he beat Ozone out of t-shirts, and right after that, you know, they pull up a record of 30 years ago, and you know, they did all, but when they put Tahaka Bay in any thing, or Morse World TV or anything, or they say my name, what happens is it changed the algorithm. So just like last night, we had maybe 100 and some. Tonight we have 300 and some. And yeah, it's of course it's due to our sister too, but it's also due to the fact that I understand YouTube, and I understand how to play the devil out of himself. because the devil is not smart. The devil is not intelligent at all. The devil just sees the time when we're not paying attention, sees the moment when we're not paying attention. And so if people acting devilish, they're easy to outsmart. All you got to do is watch them. You watch their algorithms, you know what I'm saying? And you know how to trigger them. And so for the next week, my name will be in there. And I'm not worried about people judging me, calling me this, calling me that. What I'm worried about is people missing this serious message, because we're going to get you to this message. I want to give a shout out to Made Alchemist. I want to give a shout out to all of those who support the channel. Hit the thumbs up. All those who support the Cash App, all of those who have donated before, Cryptonomics, Sean. I also want to thank my brother M. Nugent. I want to thank all those who may disagree with my sister, who have watched this, who disagree with Dr. York. And I want to thank those who also agree. If those who disagree and you decide that you wanted to come on Moorish World TV and you had some experience on the land and you disagree, you're welcome to come on. The only thing I ask is that you be respectful. We are adults. We can respect each other. We don't have to be disrespectful. We don't have to use vulgar, dirty, filthy language in order to express ourselves and tell our experience. You're welcome to come on the show. This is the People's Channel. This is the People's Network, and I'm the People's Grand Sheik. That's just what it is. So, family, I appreciate you. Thank you again. Love each other. As our sister Uma said, we got to demonstrate some love. We got to demonstrate some love. And let me tell you something. What people think about you is not the end all be all, but the legacy that you leave, they'll get it if it's built on and founded on love. Peace and love, family. Have a good night. I see y'all Saturday night or Sunday night. Let's get it.
I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. That's right. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line till the law call my number. You a friend of the Moors, then you a friend of mine. I was told to watch my enemies, now hold my line. Those that speak against the prophet, they speak against me. And I'm speaking about the prophet over Drew Ali, who was the first to remind you and bind you back to Morocco, the mountains, Mississippi, and Quebec. Told you wasn't black, proved it with straight facts. You tripping off trucks, you need to be tripping off that. Now here we go again, acting like you a slave.
Family, see y'all tonight, 9:30. Let's go.
I be that more you gon' remember. I'ma be that more you gon' remember. I be that more you gon' remember. To Harker Bay front line.